if you're successful at something, right, it leaves clues, right?
Yeah.
You can go back and say, well, these are the clues that show you that it's real.
And you shall know them by their fruits.
And you shall know them by their fruits. And we're going to line them up because that's our job. When someone is looking at this, we know it's real. They don't. We have information that they don't have. And our job is to transmit it in a way that they can receive it and understand it, right? So everyone's skeptical. You can't, why is there a natural supplement that you're telling me does all this? It's just too hard to believe. But, so here are the clues. First of all, ABC, in a primetime report, ABC in their investigative reports do what? They go in, they pull back the curtains, they lift up the covers, and they go, that's what's really under the hood. And in this case, they did an infomercial for Protandim because Dr. McCord is a scientist who is well-respected and well-renowned because he discovered SOD back in 1969, and for 40 years he has been focusing all of his time and attention in free radical biology, and he's the reason that this new technology exists. He found this pathway to increase antioxidants inside of our cells. Powerful,
naturally,
intelligent,
letting your body
in our body. Our body's got it. We're created with it. It's our first line of defense. 1,000,000 times more powerful than anything we can consume per second. It's huge. So ABC didn't just capture what that was as a breakthrough in 2005, and that report was based on one human study. But we've got Dr. Sanjay Gupta in his book Chasing Life, which is in my car, and I don't know if you've all seen it, but it's Chasing Life, and it's breakthroughs in science on how to slow the aging process.
And he's been on Dr. Oz now about natural health.
He was recommended to the Surgeon General of the United States.
Yeah.
Well-respected guy, spends 7 pages, opens the chapter on antioxidants with Dr. McCord, 7 pages talking about the problem, and then closes with the solution. Brand new product, huge technology, more science needs to be done. So, we have 4 patents, another clue. And that goes back to, if you read those patents, which I didn't really understand or appreciate until Dr. Del Balso read them on that call, is in order to get a patent, you've got as scientists, you have to scrutinize that you actually do what you claim to do. And just in terms of, I told you, oxidative stress, inflammation, C-reactive protein, NERV2, all of those patents are issued because they literally tore it apart again and said, yep, you do what you say you did.
So we have 7 patents?
We have 4 patents.
4 patents. Okay.
4 patents. We had 3, we just got the 4th, all right? So with each new scientific study that shows that we do more, which is what's happening, another patent will come into place to show that this compound, this combination is able to do these things. So that's another evidence that this is real, right? And I always start off with the question, so if it were real, and I start with this before I give the clues, if it were real that there is an all-natural, 1 a day, safe, right, little gold pill, that's been proven by the highest science to slow the process of aging in everybody, would you want it? Really? If it were available? And it were affordable? Would you want it? I mean, yeah. So not only is it real, which is what these clues demonstrate, right? These are the points that validate it, but it does more than that. And that's what's just so huge, right? So again, we've got ABC, Sanjay Gupta, 4 patents. And just like ABC, the next clue that this is real, validation, is that 20 universities saw that first human study and also said, if you can activate this pathway and get our body's intelligence working back at its peak levels and reducing oxidative stress in the process of aging, we believe it's going to impact the diseases that grow in those environments, like cancer and heart disease and diabetes and AIDS and arthritis and asthma and all of these other conditions. And so they pulled a supplement over the aisle. Now here's another clue. Would they have done that if there were a drug that could do this? No. It wasn't. It's us. Which is why I call it the pharmaceutical disguised as a nutraceutical. It's a nutritional supplement because it reduces the environment. It's like We know a beautiful pond, right, is pure and clean and fish thriving in it, and over time, toxins get in there, somebody throws a beer in, whatever it is, right, oxidize, the environment pollutes that, and it gets murkier and murkier, and all of a sudden the fish start to get sick, which is what's happening on our planet. I always say I wish there were one a day for the planet. We can see that process of aging and deterioration, which we can't see inside of ourselves. Same process, right? Same toxin, same environment being polluted. So if you could drop a pill in that water and clean it up so that the fish are healthy again, would that be just brilliant? All
Be
over
like
the
waking
planet?
up Mother Nature.
It would be like putting Mother Nature back, saying, I'm sorry we
Took it out.
I'm sorry we didn't care for you better.
Yeah.
Well, now that's what Protandim does inside of ourselves. It cleans the environment up because we have these, now we know through these 8 peer-reviewed studies, 3 on cancer and 3 on heart disease, which never happens on a supplement, funded by big universities, Ohio State, Harvard, LSU, right? University of Minnesota on diabetes is underway. The government study, which is on Navy SEALs because of the ability to recover faster from exercise, which is why professional athletes asked us and urged us to get the banned substance certificate. Another clue, because they understand, is it important for athletes too to have faster recovery rates, to be able to perform better, faster, and do better at what they do. So for all of those reasons, these are clues that not only is it real, but we've got a big demand of people who understand the science and want it. But what the science teaches us is that we didn't do what we did in 2005, which was a breakthrough, which was activating 3 antioxidants, reducing oxidative stress, 3 survival genes. We now know, because of this research, that this one a day activates 600 survival genes from the moment you take 1 pill a day, in everybody. That's what we do. We activate NRF2, which is a term you don't need to know, but you need to understand that that is the controller in every cell. I actually call it the thermostat. So the best way to understand the technology is if you set your thermostat in your house to 68 degrees, what does the thermostat do? If it gets below 68, it says, whoa, we have a system in place. It's called heat. And the heat comes up, brings the temperature back up to homeostasis, back at 68, perfect life, right? If it gets too cold or too hot, we've got air conditioning that brings that temperature back down to homeostasis. That's what NRF2 does in our cells. That's why in that first human study, in the cells of an 80-year-old, NRF2 didn't know it was 80. He just went, NRF2, when it was reactivated by Protandim to function back at that peak level of performance, went, oh my gosh, it's so hot in there. How'd that happen? And it increased, what? Our coolants inside of our cells are these antioxidants. They increased a number of them to bring that temperature down to homeostasis, and that's why in an 80-year-old it reduced it by 70%. In a 20-year-old, less oxidative stress, needed fewer antioxidants to get that temperature down by 20%. But at the end, there's homeostasis in every cell. In a 20-year-old and an 80-year-old, they look the same. And they will every day they take it because NRF2 understands that that's the right environment within that cell for oxidative stress.
So it's a natural body thermostat.
Right. So if cancer comes into play, and this is what the 3 studies on cancer show, in cancer, what happens in cancer? They said, wow, yes, you did. You brought down oxidative stress in this way, but because it's cancer, there's other factors in the environment that play a role in cancer. Inflammation is huge, bigger problem than oxidative stress. And we also know that it's not just in cancer that inflammation is big. If you search under inflammation, you see way more studies, right? We have anti-inflammatory genes, another set of survival genes that were increased in order to bring the inflammation back down in those cells in cancer. And that's why, at the end of that study, they said that Protandim may serve as a potent and practical approach to cancer prevention. Because that was big. If our cells could reduce inflammation, the environment, like that dirty pond where cancer grows, that's big, may be big. So that's why they funded another study and continued their research, which is another clue. You don't do 2 studies unless the first one didn't show you such big results that you knew that there was something else you wanted to do here or prove. And in their second study, they said, wow, NRF2 activated another set of survival genes that play a role in cancer, and we discovered these are P53 in every cell. They have one job. They're a tumor suppressor gene. That's why they say Protandim has tumor suppressive activity.
Mm.
So again, one a day slows the aging process, oxidative stress, cleans up that environment, cleans up inflammation. In heart disease, we have other survival genes that are brilliantly in place and powerful to say, well, we know homeostasis and fibrosis, scarring of the heart. Scarring the outside is good, scarring the inside, not good. We don't want our organs scarred and damaged. So these anti-fibrotic genes were increased, and that's why at the end of that study they said Protandim protects the heart, prevented capillary loss, kept right heart function, but did those things because, again, the environment where heart disease grows, right, in that last study by Ohio State, big study on bypass surgery, the veins used in bypass surgery. That study is so important because it is funded by the American Heart Association and the National Institute of Health. They do not fund research on supplements, right? They're in the drug business. So anyway, as a result of that study, they said they took human veins, fail in bypass surgery, put them into a Protandim bath, right, and a high oxygen environment so they could reduce that process of the cell wall thickening over time from the oxygen in our blood till it closes that vein. We put them in that environment, high oxygen, reduced it to a 4-year study, and at the end of 4 years, Ohio State said, through funding of the NIH and the American Heart Association, that Protandim returned those veins to a normal, healthy saphenous vein. And that's why cardiologists are sharing it. That's why, health professionals are sharing it. Doctors are looking at sharing, being proactive in health versus looking at the other side. And again, it's finding the right ones, right? The ones that understand that there is more that we can do on the front end than waiting till we're treating symptoms, and we're past that state right now. So when we look at diabetes or AIDS or asthma, there are going to be some of these other survival genes that will play a role. But those are all the clues that demonstrate that this is real, and that in everyone we activate NRF2. We go beyond oxidative stress, right, to inflammation, to fibrosis, to lowering osteopontin and other environment. So that's what the research teaches us, that, when you can through these defenses in place, survival genes, put them back to their peak levels, they are literally working every day. And I always say, it's not like they go into your cells and say, we're just going to take care of these anti-inflammatories and your tumor suppressor genes in you. And over you, we're going to just worry about your heart disease. They're all back to work. They're going, whoa, we do not want any of these environments to get out of control again. Seriously? How can you not want that? It's real. And more importantly, this isn't an opportunity to share. It's really an obligation. You have information, and anyone that you bring into this fold has information that there is no doubt. It's proven in all of these areas scientifically to activate NRF2 and these survival genes in this way. So everyone on the planet should be on it. It sat on a retail shelf for 4 years because a bottle can't talk, but we can. And if we're not out there grabbing everybody and going, sit down and look at this ABC piece, watch that 3-minute update with Dr. McCord, because he talks about the government study on Navy SEALs. He explains the recovery rates, but he says we went from 3 genes to 600 survival genes. Everyone, including every pet, every mammal, can benefit from this knowledge and information. And it's really us that, because we know about it, have the opportunity to find individuals with big spheres of influence. That's what I always say, right? That's why doctors and health professionals are important players in this field. But trainers are big. I've got big gyms signing on. We've got, dentists. I've got an optometrist. Macular degeneration is part of oxidative stress. Just everything, everybody needs to hear about it. And so when you look to someone to share it with, you just say, this is something you need to know about it because of your sphere of influence, because of your ability to get this story into the hands of everybody who needs it. Everybody today should be on Protandim. And the only way they're going to find out about it
Is
is
to
it's in our
use it.
hands. And so let's go share.